Well, the challenge we were given by Architecture Today is good and bad open plan, and what is good open plan. So it was quite easy to look into the bad of open plan, because there's a lot of reputation that really sort of stems from the efficiency and the almost a little bit of a draconian approach to how you manage people. And one of the things that I enjoyed looking back on is the history of open plan. So we look back at 1900s and Taylorism really set out the science and efficiency of management. And really, when after the Industrial Revolution, people started to make products, and also clerical sort of jobs really took off in terms of a requirement. So big sheds for people doing either manufacturing or clerical work started to become, you know, the way we manage people in the industrial age. Prior to that, I'd say we tended to do commerce in coffee shop or ale house, or even baronial halls. And those spaces were much more convivial and varied in terms of their the support of people. And whether you're entertaining people or doing business or creating a deal, you know, the environment was comfortable with good refreshment and very attractive in many respects. I think there's definitely been a backlash if you take that efficiency factor, and you can very quickly on the internet find film scripts of the crowd where you see these serried rows of desks looking terrifying and dehumanising people. And I think one of the things that we see is that if you move forward and think about what good open plan is, it's very easy to actually identify what bad open plan is. Various of the speakers have described the Harvard collaboration scientific investigation recently that says, you know, 70% plus collaboration drop when you do put people in the open plan. And there's very complicated algorithms that they've done to kind of like support how you scientifically measure that. Part of which is people wandering around with a big necklace around their neck, which is, you know, monitoring what they do, and you know, that might be inhibiting in its own self. But with that scientific report, nowhere is there a view of what the space looked like they came from before when they supposedly collaborated more, and there's no view of what the space they've moved into is. In my view as a designer, I feel that's immediately flawed, because I want to know where they are, what kind of parts they have, are they just open plan, desking, is there anything else, what the refreshment areas are like, what the acoustics are like, etc., etc. So it's only a very small snapshot, which is not totally representing what a good environment could be like. Variety is absolutely, I think, what is needed in a contemporary office environment, and we don't ever have a situation where we put just desks into an environment. It's much more like designing a city, and there are various ways that we can pick up a brief from a client to find out what it is they need. So we do lots of analysis of what people do activity-wise when we're assessing their environment they need, and asking people, talking to people, taking a brief is a very straightforward way. Equally observing space and how it's being used, and what the occupancy of a space is, can also tell you, you know, how that current space, before they move and journey into a new environment, how it's operating for them and what they might need in the new. So there is a degree of science to it, but equally there's an art to it and an understanding of human behaviour. Because if you start asking people what they need, they invariably give you a variety of activities they do. And it immediately means that you need a range of types of spaces, big, medium, sort of small, you know, intimate spaces, and extrovert spaces, somewhere to get together, like the baronial hall, but equally somewhere to hide and get away and be private. But sometimes that's HR private for the business, but equally sometimes it's a personal private. And if you're expecting an awful lot from your staff and teams, you've got to let them be personal and run their lives, as well as be, you know, give to the corporate organisation. And I think corporate has a bad rap, as well as total open plan, because if you take a really good culture, you know, we all want to be part of a larger group at times. You know, me, my team, us. You know, there's still a real strong desire, even in the disruption of digital and Shoreditchification of the city. Hoxton's incredibly popular. Prices in Hoxton, rents are higher now and in King's Cross than they are in parts of the city, because there's a desire to go to places where you feel empowered, but you want to be with people as well. So the human behaviour in some ways is still very fundamentally straightforward. We were saying that we refurbished our office recently, and whilst you know, we are having to be more economic about the space take, we've made sure the places that we have designed work better and harder. 10 times more capacity of filtered water means our teams are on a day-to-day basis are significantly rehydrated in comparison. And you know, it was a learning lesson for me. Tens of thousands of people we're very privileged to work with, but actually some of the basics, light, water, comfort, acoustics, you have to start with those fundamentals with a variety, and then you can start thinking about extraordinary things too that could happen within those environments. But still, inevitably, those aren't always solved, but start with the basics, and then we can create environments that people really love and enjoy. And particularly when your asset is your people, you know, understanding places that make people feel good, you know, is really, really important.